An external identity is a person, device, service, etc. that is outside your organization. Microsoft Entra. External ID refers to all the ways you can securely interact with users outside of your organization. If you want to collaborate with partners, distributors, suppliers, or vendors, you can share your resources and define how your internal users can access external organizations. If you're a developer creating consumer-facing apps, you can manage your customers' identity experiences. External identities may sound similar to single sign-on. With external identities, external users can bring their own identities. Whether they have a corporate or government-issued digital identity or an unmanaged social identity like Google or Facebook, they can use their own credentials to sign in. The external user's identity provider manages their identity, and you manage access to your apps with Microsoft Entra ID or Azure AD B2C to keep your resources protected. The following capabilities make up external identities: business to business, B2B collaboration. Collaborate with external users by letting them use their preferred identity to sign in to your Microsoft applications or other enterprise applications, SaaS apps, custom developed apps, etc. B2B collaboration users are represented in your directory, typically as guest users. B2B Direct Connect. Establish a mutual, two-way trust with another Microsoft Entra organization for seamless collaboration. B2B Direct Connect currently supports Teams shared channels, enabling external users to access your resources from within their home instances of Teams. B2B Direct Connect users aren't represented in your directory, but they're visible from within the Teams shared channel and can be monitored in Teams Admin Center reports. Microsoft Azure Active Directory Business to Customer, B2C, publish modern SaaS apps or custom developed apps, excluding Microsoft apps, to consumers and customers while using Azure AD B2C for identity and access management. Depending on how you want to interact with external organizations and the types of resources you need to share, you can use a combination of these capabilities. With Microsoft Entra ID, you can easily enable collaboration across organizational boundaries by using the Microsoft Entra B2B feature. Guest users from other tenants can be invited by administrators or by other users. This capability also applies to social identities such as Microsoft accounts. You also can easily ensure that guest users have appropriate access. You can ask the guests themselves or a decision maker to participate in an access review and recertify or attest to the guest's access. The reviewers can give their input on each user's need for continued access based on suggestions from Microsoft Entra ID. When an access review is finished, you can then make changes and remove access for guests who no longer need it. Describe Azure Conditional Access. Conditional access is a tool that Microsoft Entra ID uses to allow or deny access to resources based on identity signals. These signals include who the user is, where the user is, and what device the user is requesting access from. Conditional access helps IT administrators empower users to be productive wherever and whenever, protect the organization's assets. Conditional access also provides a more granular multi-factor authentication experience for users. For example, a user might not be challenged for second authentication factor if they're at a known location. However, they might be challenged for a second authentication factor if their sign-in signals are unusual or they're at an unexpected location. During sign-in, conditional access collects signals from the user, makes decisions based on those signals, and then enforces that decision by allowing or denying the access request or challenging for a multi-factor authentication response. The following diagram illustrates this flow. Here, the signal might be the user's location, the user's device, or the application that the user is trying to access. Based on these signals, the decision might be to allow full access if the user is signing in from their usual location. If the user is signing in from an unusual location or a location that's marked as high risk, then access might be blocked entirely or possibly granted after the user provides a second form of authentication. Enforcement is the action that carries out the decision. For example, the action is to allow access or require the user to provide a second form of authentication. When can I use conditional access? Conditional access is useful when you need to require multi-factor authentication, MFA, to access an application depending on the requester's role, location, or network. For example, you could require MFA for administrators, but not regular users or for people connecting from outside your corporate network. Require access to services only through approved client applications. For example, you could limit which email applications are able to connect to your email service. Require users to access your application only from managed devices. A managed device is a device that meets your standards for security and compliance. Block access from untrusted sources such as access from unknown or unexpected locations.